Bangladesh, home to over 165 million people, is one of Asia's largest emerging markets. Like other places around the world, we see here internet becoming a part of our daily lives. With over 100 million mobile subscribers and in early stages of 3G network, Bangladesh is quickly becoming an ideal place to experiment with new ideas. And these experiments have already started. Young people are working really hard to turn their ideas into a business, a startup. These young entrepreneurs, they chose to see the world from a different perspective and use the internet to power their dreams. The Startup Dhaka team aims to imagine a different kind of future for our generation and come together to tell a story of possibilities. We want to show how the power of the internet has transformed the way people learn, shop, and the way people do business. But before all of that, we have to ask ourselves, what is an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur are many things, but the main thing is that entrepreneurs must be driven by passion. It cannot be about just making money.
আপনার প্যাশন থাকবে কোন একটা কাজ করা এবং আপনি সেই প্যাশনটাকে আপনার জীবিকা হিসেবে যখন নেবেন তখনই আপনি একজন এন্টারপ্রেনার।
They learn from others but they write their own story. আমার মনে হয় অন্যর এক্সপেকটেশন মিট করা একজন উদ্যোক্তার কাজ না। উদ্যোক্তার নিজের যে অ্যাসপিরেশন, নিজের যে পোটেনশিয়াল, সেই জিনিসটা রিয়েলাইজ করাটাই হচ্ছে একটা উদ্যোক্তার মেইন রেসপন্সিবিলিটি।
We believe the only essential ingredient of a startup is growth. In this documentary, we will focus on tech startups in Dhaka. So let's take a look at some of these people who got into their startups.
I got started in the startup scene in San Francisco back in 2009 after working at Google for a little while. I left to go to a smaller company and there's so much energy and every day was full of excitement. That company got bought by Google, so I didn't stay in the startup scene very long. But after that, I always wanted to come back, and that's what led me here to Bangladesh to do my own startup.
Basically, I was seeing my friends and families having problem in terms of making a CV. So I thought, how do we make it simple for them? So I was looking for partners who can partner with me and make, build a platform. So I looked out and found Shadab Bhai and Shakur Bhai were my co-founders for amarcv.com.
যে আমাদের ধর আজকে ল্যাপটপ আছে, স্মার্টফোন আছে, কম্পিউটার আছে, বা বাংলাদেশে 80% মানুষ কিন্তু এগুলোতে নাই। সো উই ডোন্ট ওয়ান্ট টু ক্রিয়েট আ নিউ ডিভাইড। আমি ব্রডার ওয়েতে 80% মানুষকে সার্ভ করতে চেয়েছি। এই সার্ভটা করতে চেয়েই কিন্তু আমাদের সামগ্রাম তৈরি হয়েছে।
আমাদের সামগ্রাম একটি ই-কমার্স প্ল্যাটফর্ম। এখানে কৃষক, তাঁতি, জেলে সরাসরি তাদের পণ্য ক্রেতার কাছে বিক্রি করছে।
Well, the music industry has been ridden with piracy and problems with regards to royalty payments, and recently the artists have not been getting paid for their hard work. So we thought we could disrupt the music industry with technology, and that was the beginning of Dhaka.
Hi, we are Magneto Digital.
We are a full-service digital agency in Bangladesh.
So having worked in the advertising and marketing sector for the last 5 years, so ever since this year we started to think that it's important for us to enter the new media, the new market, the new emerging sector within this industry. So we chose digital marketing, and thus Magneto was born. So Magneto Digital is one of the first full-service digital agencies in Bangladesh.
Before starting Chaldal.com, I worked in the Silicon Valley. When I quit Silicon Valley, I wanted to do something in Bangladesh, and specifically I wanted to do something with technology in Bangladesh. We started with e-commerce because we think that it's something that people can relate to every day. Like, you have to buy oil every day, you have to buy rice every day. And if you're having that experience every day, the tech culture in Bangladesh will grow.
Newscred started right here in Dhaka in Bangladesh. Shafkat was here for his wedding, and the day before his wedding, we met at the Radisson Hotel to talk about an idea that I think little did both of us know would consume the next 5-6 years of our lives.
We started in a small office. There was 4 of us, 4 engineers, Iraj and myself. And the first version of Newscred was actually a consumer-facing news site. We had, grand ambitions, but over time we actually pivoted the business a few times.
But ultimately, we've always been dedicated to building up a large team here in Dhaka.
I started doing some random production work in 2011, and I was posting it on SoundCloud. And Faisal heard some of my stuff, he really liked it, so he got back to me. And then we thought that maybe we could have more people collaborate and grow it. So and then he started up a Facebook group, and we just started adding people who would be interested, and then it went on from there.
Let's face it, not having a boss feels great. Entrepreneurs will tell you that the most. They loved independence and the feeling of doing something really different. It drives them. But this drive, however, comes with a price. Long hours, having to forget friends and family, and the constant fear of not hiring the right people. And of course, money. Money's really hard to come by. So let's see what the startup founders have to say about the beginning stages of a startup.
Startup path is fun, it's exciting. I think working for a big company has security, has stability. Startup path is much more about creating something and venturing into the unknown. So for me, that's what makes life exciting. Well, I love working at GNR because GNR is a platform that really empowers the Bangladesh web. And the internet in general is something that I believe is great for society. It promotes education, freedom of speech. It's good for democracy. And for there to be a better internet, there needs to be fundamental business models in place so people can create websites, post content, and be incentivized to do a better job of creating that content. So that's what GNR is. GNR is a fundamental platform for people who make web content to monetize that content. And that's really the big idea, is that we want there to be a super Bangladesh web full of great local content. If you want to look up legal advice or you want to book your train tickets, all those services should exist on the internet in Bangladesh. And one of the reasons they don't exist yet is because we don't have some of the incentive platforms in place. So GNR is hoping to be one of the major platforms that enables that.
So to start off with, you need to forget about your family life. I know that sounds bad, but that's a reality for the first 1 or 2 years. Then you need to be prepared to work all morning, all day. You go back home and you're working at night. So that's the reality in the first couple of years.
So our severe funding to basically we bootstrapped to get the funding. We haven't actually reached out for external funding or any other sources.
Finance দরকার তখন দেখা যাচ্ছে ফ্রেন্ডরাও আগে আসতেছে না এটা কি, because it's not a product, it's a service. Then ব্যাংকও বুঝতে পারছিল না এটা কি। তো শুরুটা কষ্ট হয়, এই জন্য শুরুটা আমরা নিজেরাই অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি সেজুতি মিলে আমরা শুরু করি।
We funded the GNR through angel investors. Initially, we had one angel investor who was a friend of ours, who we explained the business to, and he was very interested in developing the business. Later on, we had a second angel investor come on, who was not just an investor but also a strategic partner that decided to put cash in.
So I approached one of my business associates at that time, and he was very interested in what we wanted to do. And what happened was he then connected us to another angel investor who at that time I didn't know. And then in the end what happened was both of them invested in our startup as angel investors, and we raised the fund and started this company.
So we heard about angel investors who help fund these startups. There are also venture capitalists who provide funds in exchange for a part of the company. So who are these people, and what's their role in Dhaka's startup ecosystem.
Is an investor that gets involved earlier on with a company and provides them with risk capital for them to prove out their model and to prove out the viability of their business. The big difference between angel investors and VCs is where along the spectrum they get involved. And angel investors typically get involved much earlier on than VCs, but keeping in mind that in this day and age, that's definitely changing as VCs are getting involved earlier on to take advantage of investment opportunities.
But really, the role of an angel investor in Bangladesh is something much more hands-on than you would see in other places. So for example, you would need to provide both your time and your knowledge and your money in guiding your investment. And that really requires a lot more dedication, a lot more commitment than maybe one would do elsewhere.
That's the problem right now, that it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to find structured angel investors, and I think that that's going to change as I think there is an opportunity to build within the ecosystem the opportunity to bridge the two together.
The name of the game is creating opportunity. So how does one create opportunity? You need to provide resources and access. To build a community, one has to create that platform. So that's kind of what we're doing now, creating a platform to promote engagement.
So one of the things now starting to happen is where a lot of startups are going to different networking events where they can reach out to different individuals and say, hey, I'm looking for capital, can you connect me to someone? And I think that culture is coming slowly and changing. And Bangladesh, we're forming one of the first angel networks and we're going to be partnering with several organizations to spread that awareness and news so that startups know that yes, there is an angel network and you can go and pitch your idea and get capital.
And that's the point, to create a situation where imagination can turn into reality. And this is what I call creating opportunity.
I think, when it came around to raising money for Loose Monkeys at the beginning, because the idea was so revolutionary, because there was a major need for what Loose Monkeys does for job seekers as well as employers, the investors understood the need gap right away.
I think the idea that you can disrupt an economy, an industry with technology struck a chord with the investors, and we did present them with a very viable business model which they found pretty appealing.
Well, we're very fortunate actually to be funded by some world-class institutional VCs. So we raised venture capital in the US and we've raised $20 million so far in Series A and Series B financing.
Like, I really look for the energy and the motivation, and it's like they're passionate about what they want to do, and they're passionate about building. It's not like they're going and they're doing something different. And the second thing that really gets me intrigued is when they form a team. Like, that's the fundamental way of getting success. And the third thing is when I see a startup with a mentor network already, and they have a board of advisors that they've already started talking to and speaking to. I think that shows is that they realize that, look, they also need help and that extra push to go forward. And of course, after that, if they're able to get revenue, they're able to get traction, and if it's something like unique, I just jump at it.